Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another experiment on the F1 2021 game. Today, we're adding more money to a team in My Team Career Mode, but this time, we're not trying to get, fired, we're not trying to get bankrupt or anything like that. We're adding the money simply to ask the question, how quickly can you max out a team in F1 2021 My Team Career Mode? So, we've added 1 billion R&D and $1 billion to our new My Team here for this specific experiment. We've got the very, I must say, actually very cool looking Aiden Jackson livery on the car that you get from the Breaking Point, deluxe edition of the game. And you can see, it looks a bit ridiculous, I can't lie. At the top right, we've got just under 1 billion R&D points because we've already bought some. And yeah, we're going to see how quickly we can get to a maxed out My Team car. Now, I think on last year's game, if I remember correctly, I think we did it within one season of career mode, which is pretty bonkers if you think about it, getting from the top, from the very bottom of where you start to the very top, a maxed out R&D, well, it's not a tree anymore, but an R&D system where it's all maxed out. But you've got to remember, since last year with My Team, the difference of, how quickly and how many upgrades you can do is it's changed a lot when you have the $1 billion because you can buy the HQ facilities. Back on, I think, F1 2019 and 2018, when we were doing experiments like these, the difference was the mechanics of the game were very, very different. We had no way of, increasing the number of upgrades we bought, straight away. Now you can buy the HQ facilities, as you can clearly see I'm doing. I'm buying every single spec level. So we're already at, like, spec 1, we're already at spec 1 for everything. We're going to get to spec 2 very, very soon. I think we might even get to spec 3 by the time, we're getting into the first round or round 2 of the season. I mean, the menu looked absolutely ridiculous there on the left-hand side. Like, the entire activity timeline, it's actually so long. There's so many bits on the timeline that it goes, like, past the screen and the game doesn't know what to do with it because it just has to keep on listing them. But it's not really made for that many upgrades. But we launched the car looking snazzy as ever, like I said, in that Aiden Jackson Breaking Point livery. And yeah, on the left, it's just a sea of upgrades, basically. Aerodynamics ones, marketing. We've got the other activities as well. We've already got plenty of upgrades on the go because I've purchased every single one that we can, afford, and we're allowed to, obviously. But we need to wait until Spec 2, Spec 3 comes in. That's when you open things up on, doing 2 upgrades at once, or 3, or unlimited upgrades at once, all at the same time. So it's like that meme, like all of the upgrades all of the time. We've got upgrade after upgrade, basically, for this team, and it's going to be an exponential growth. And I think already with the upgrades we've already done quite a few here, and I'm already getting to the point where once the upgrades I've bought have come in, I'm going to be already at the top of the midfield, pretty much. So this might be one of the quickest, from 0 to 100 My Team experiments we've done in terms of how quickly we've gone up there. Because like I said, on last year's game, I think we took under a season, wasn't it? And then in 2019, I think it took, if I remember correctly, just over a season. And then 2018, about a season and a half. So it's been getting quicker and quicker every year. But like I said, obvious reasons for that. But at the moment, at this stage, Lungard's our teammate, our AI teammate, simulating the race. He's already in P13, so that is kind of a combination of two things. Already the car being very, very good, but it actually, I found out doing this experiment, it seems like the simulation, if you simulate a race, it's a lot better than it has been. In previous F1 games, you guys will know, if you watched previous experiments like this, where we've been simulating through the season, you'll know that, for whatever reason, I think it was on purpose, to be honest, that the simulations always were horrendous. Like, it would make you last place all of the time, the AI as well, your teammate would be last, and it kind of almost forced you, it was almost like it was hinting at you to play the game rather than simulate it. Whereas in this year's game, doing this experiment and this whole video, I did kind of realize that it was a lot better. Like, your teammate was scoring already quite highly, and then you were also as well. No matter where you qualified, you're doing quite well, and so the simulation was a bit more, I would say accurate, but it was reflective of where the car was a lot more. But you can already see now, if you look carefully at the bottom right, when I'm purchasing upgrades, the charts, the potential basically of when these upgrades come in, we're already at the top of the midfield. We're already going to be in the top 3 in the next race or two. We're already at Spain, obviously, and that's that's round 2 here. And really, the only thing bottlenecking doing more upgrades is waiting on the R&D upgrades we purchase, and then waiting on the HQ facility upgrades. So those just take a set amount of time, especially the HQ ones. There's no way to speed up the HQ facilities, so we have to just sit on those and wait. So we've got a lot of bottlenecking at the end of these columns, you can see, or rows, I should say, of the R&D. And then also, you can see clearly the ones that are pending, 19 days, 10 days, you just have to wait for the upgrades. Now, I didn't bother rushing them, because at the moment, obviously, I'm not actually playing the races, so the morale is not really high or low, so the chances of them failing of our risk, you know, fast tracking the upgrades is too high, in my opinion, for what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to speed this thing up. So I'd rather go with slow and steady on the R&D, knowing that we're speeding everything up, having all these. I mean, look at that. I mean, that was ridiculous. Going into that season break, there was like a wall of like 8 upgrades on the HQ facilities. Like, we are literally just burning through all the cash, and we're already at Spec 3 then on the facilities there, on the aero. We've got that brand spanking new wind tunnel, and we've not even made a dent into R&D and even money as well. I mean, we're still on 999 million, so well and truly, you don't even need a million R&D to get maxed out. I've just put a billion because it's ridiculous in terms of, you know, well, it just looks funny for once on the top right, and then I guess also the title will be ridiculous to look at, but also more so the money as well. I wanted to match the money to the R&D because I did want to give ourselves $1 billion just for the sake of, you know, really, you know, going home with the, you know, cash injection. And to be fair, we do spend a lot of money in this experiment. We're on like, what's that, 600, just under $650 million, so you do spend more money than R&D points. Like, it's obviously not a one-to-one scaling of that. We're spending about half the money nearly that we've given ourselves, rather than the R&D is what, like a tenth, less than a tenth of the R&D, even less than that. So I just want to point out, you can see how far we are into this R&D, you know, all the rows for aero, chassis, engine. We're already in the top 3 for the aero, I think that was, and only now do we get to Spain. So we've only got to round 2 now. Obviously, the caveat is, you know, there is actually in real life 2 rounds in between Bahrain and Spain. So in-game, there's a season break that helps us out, that time gap. Obviously, if it was realistic, we would have had 2 Grand Prix in between, but right now, as it stands, 2 Grand Prix, Lundgaard's gone from having a car on the bottom 3 to a car that can get him top 5, and we continue to plow on with the upgrades. We're going to speed things up a little bit just to kind of show you everything, but if you kind of, you know, have the look at the bottom right and the flashes you're seeing of the R&D chart in every department, we're already top now on aero. We're getting there with things like the durability, the chassis, and the engine as well, and very, very quickly, as we get to the Monaco Grand Prix, we're going to be overwhelmingly the best team on the grid in terms of out and out pace right now and potential. Lundgaard started P11 on the grid and goes to first place. We started P21 and we went to 5th place in the simulation. Now, yeah, that's quite impressive because the simulation sometimes is not very, you know, kind to you. But on this year's game, like I said, I think it's a bit more realistic, and our car is clearly very, very quick. So even if we're starting at the back of Monaco, we're able to get all the way to the top 5. Lundgaard's able to get, you know, a win from P11. So already, we're pretty much already so much better than every team that's there. Like, we're already maybe half the grid better than the next best team. What I mean by that is the difference from Haas to like Aston Martin, let's say, or McLaren. That is the difference we're better at than Mercedes. We get to Baku, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Lundgaard wins again here then at Baku, and he got P1 in the simulation grid, it would seem. We got P21 and we got up to P11, so that was a bit backwards in terms of now the simulation maybe didn't look as realistic here, so maybe actually just ignore what I said earlier, because I thought it looked a bit more realistic at the start, but clearly not at Azerbaijan. But now we're into the final stretch of upgrades. We're just waiting for these final ones to come in. You can see we're right at the end of the row, and so we get to the French Grand Prix, and that last exhaust upgrade comes in, and so apart from the engine manufacturer upgrades, we have already maxed out the car. So it took 6 rounds of career mode. 6. S-I-X, 6 rounds to get a maxed out car. Look at the exponential growth. It looks ridiculous how quickly we've upgraded this car. Like the leap we had from, well, the biggest leap we had really was from Bahrain to Spain, but then even the, continued on, and then that trajectory is so insane. And then look at that. Oh, you can fit in the fuel spread from Mercedes to Haas. You could fit that and a half just about to where our car is. So we are the whole fuel spread times 1.5 ahead of Mercedes, which is just ridiculous. And we're at the Austrian Grand Prix now. I really must say on this year's game, a really well-timed calendar and, upgrade to the maxed out car, because you guys know every year there's a big interest about going under 1 minute at Austria with a maxed out car. So if you guys want to see that video, seeing if we can do it on this year's game, or can my AI teammate do it if I go ahead and go sign someone else or whatever, well, let's see if Lungar could do it, to be fair, then let me know in the comments below. But that is how quickly you can max out a car in F1 at 2021 My Team Career Mode if you have unlimited resources, which is 6 rounds, which is... or Austria, technically 7 rounds, because that's when it kind of finished. But it's ridiculous. Absolutely mad. I think that's the quickest we've ever had in the F1 game history since we've been starting to do these experiments. So if you did enjoy the video, then hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. As I said, if you want to see that Austria video, or just in general, a general video of me driving with the maxed out car to kind of see visually how it feels, maybe, handling-wise for me, to give my feedback on how a maxed out car feels in My Team Career Mode, then let me know in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.